Look like Ron DeSantis influence that he has down in Florida is taking a major hit. There are many of his people in Florida that are saying he should never have run. He should have concentrated on doing his job as governor. So many are now waiting for Ron DeSantis to just drop out altogether. Mm-mm-mm. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is losing his clout in Florida. College boards stacked with DeSantis appointees are rejecting job candidates with ties to the governor. The chair of the Republican Party of Florida urged executive committee members to attend all GOP candidate events, giving cover to party faithful who want to attend a dinner at Mar-a-Lago with the former president, Donald Trump. And the board that oversees many of Florida's affordable housing programs this month placed on leave its executive director, who was helped into the job by a top DeSantis advisors. So it seems like people that Ron DeSantis put in place are now getting pushed out. Interviews with nearly 2 dozen lobbyists, political consultants, and lawmakers revealed that DeSantis struggles as a presidential candidate and have already eroded his influence in Florida. There is a widespread expectation that his candidacy will end in failure. He is standing at home, maybe depending on how long his slogs forward into the presidential candidate, and how will he manage his exit from the race if he eventually dropped out. Now, it may be just a matter of time before Florida Republicans, once loyal, seek to distance themselves from DeSantis and his hardball governing methods. His governing methods are just straight up racism. He just puts it out on display for everyone to see. He doesn't care. So you don't get the assumption they are measuring drapes anymore. You're waiting for him to drop out. One longtime Republican consultant in Tallahassee said of those working for the governor, the consultant, like others quoted in this story, was granted, so they're staying anonymous. That's all. To freely discuss the sensitive situation. State Rep Daniel Perez, the Miami Republican, in line to become the next state House Speaker, urged his GOP colleagues this week to move more carefully in the future, saying that the problem with wielding the power of government like a hammer is that the people start looking like nails. Perez insists his comment was not a message to the governor, but added that being said, the legislature can't work alone. The legislature work with the governor. And no matter how he framed his comments, Perez's words were being viewed as a rejoiner to DeSantis. One Tallahassee lobbyist said it's a signal that the conveyor belt legislature that passed whatever Ron DeSantis wanted is coming to an end. So look like the stranglehold he had on Florida, when his time as a presidential candidate ends, a lot of things that people went along with initially, they're saying they're not going along with it anymore. You know, Ron DeSantis When you saw the policies that he was putting out, you should have known, look, when you ride on racism, that's going to be the very thing you're going to fall on. You know, history is not going to be kind to Ron DeSantis when his time as governor is finally up. This man is in his second term, okay? And look at all the damage he has done down there in Florida. And they already said his biggest donors that are billionaires and millionaires, they've already left. They refuse to give him another dime. So, DeSantis is one of Florida's most powerful governors and has used his influence to sway over the past 5 years to transform politics in the state, including getting the Republican controlled legislature to bow to his agenda. So, this is what Ron DeSantis has done. All of the colleges and universities down there where he got rid of diversity and getting rid of Black history and whitewashing it, he put Republicans over those institutions to ensure that his agenda gets played out. And now people are starting to run those Republicans off that he put in place to now take the stranglehold that he's had over, especially the education system down there. So that's what's happening. So Ron DeSantis used his power to suspend elected officials, and then he turned around and replaced these folks with these far right leaning Republicans. Okay, and I did a video on one of the prosecutors that he pushed aside, and it's only because she was going after the police and holding them accountable for the actions that they were taking against the public, and we know what public they always go against. And I was watching a video. All those police are just being straight up racist to those Black residents to the point where they're using the N word openly around them. It has gotten that bad in Florida. It is really something else how he has literally destroyed Florida. Okay. So he used his power to suspend elected officials, including two Democratic prosecutors, while strong arming his own party to approve congressional redistricting, the maps, to favor Republicans. So, whatever he puts in place, he's going to put the kind of people that agree with him and they're going to fight to keep these racist policies going down there. That's what he has done. He's also known for his combative streak, willing to fight major corporations like Disney, Google, and the cruise line industry. Yeah, and because of those things, tourism has really plummeted in Florida, and tourism was the biggest thing they had, especially during the spring and summer months. People used to flock down there, but not this year. People stayed away from Florida. But DeSantis' troubles on the campaign trail are emboldened. Some of his party who are exhausted by his aggressive tactics. The state party last week rescinded a loyalty pledge that would have obligated the GOP primary candidates to endorse Republican candidate nominee, Ron DeSantis, a stunning turnaround made it the behest of Trump supporters against DeSantis's wishes. So the people down there that are representatives, Republican representatives of Florida, are backing Trump and not DeSantis. They're not backing Ron DeSantis at all. A major lobbyist in Tallahassee said there's no love lost between the legislature and DeSantis. They are faking it. They are waiting long enough to see the king drain all of his power. It's a slow motion coup. Beyond the Capitol, trustees at colleges and small public schools near Tampa bucked DeSantis this week by choosing a new president over the official from the governor's administration. State Juvenile Justice Secretary Eric Hall, who was a finalist for the position, the Tampa Bay Times reported this week. It was surprising because the majority of trustees of the college were appointed by DeSantis in June. Yeah, so what he's doing is making sure, by appointing all these Republicans over colleges, universities, and public schools down there, he's ensuring that the Black history never comes back like it was there before, and no diversity program will exist in Florida. So you can see he was working hard behind the scenes to make sure what he was doing with all that woke crap he was running around doing down there, they're saying it's now unraveling on him. It's now unraveling. Earlier this month, the board of the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, the state's affordable housing agency, placed its executive director on leave over allegations that he created a hostile work environment. So, this is somebody Ron DeSantis put in place. So, this person created a hostile work environment, among other issues. The executive director, Mike DiNapoli, was appointed by DeSantis, and they suspended his position because of his conduct. And billionaire Ken Griffin, who moved to Miami recently, previously spent $10 million total on Ron DeSantis' 2018 and 2022 elections. But he told CNBC that he's sitting out the 2024 cycle and he doesn't understand who Ron DeSantis is trying to appeal to. The governor still has supporters and those who fear him. Most of the people interviewed for the story were granted, they wanted to stay anonymous because they worried about retribution from Ron DeSantis. So it seems like they interviewed people that once backed Ron DeSantis, but they don't back him anymore. State Rep Alex Grande, a Pensacola Republican, endorsed DeSantis, contended that the governor continues to enjoy a strong support among legislatures. But see, even if he did, let's say he did, the bottom line is he doesn't have that same influence outside of Florida. He doesn't. And that's why every week you can pull up the stories where he is not really a strong candidate at all. And people are not backing Ron DeSantis like that. So, I mean, even if you sat and boasted, oh, well, he's still strong in Florida, well, that's not going to help him on the campaign trail out of 50 states, you're just strong in one. It's not going to be of any help to him. So, GOP House Speaker in Florida, Paul Renner, who also endorsed the governor, said DeSantis had the session of the century just a few months ago, and that you would have to go back to Jeb Bush to find a governor with this kind of record, you know? And y'all saw what happened to Jeb Bush. He really didn't do well as a presidential candidate out of Florida either. All right. And come on, in South Carolina, that's one thing. Ron DeSantis is not doing well in a state like South Carolina, and neither did Jeb Bush. So these governors that come out of Florida, they just don't make it like that. Okay. Not having a perfect record is not a sign of a collapsing strength, Renner said. Likewise, the state Republican chair has pledged to remain neutral in the presidential race. So, this is the chair down there in Florida. He's not even strongly saying he's backing Ron DeSantis. And to me, when he says he remains neutral, it is possible he's leaning towards Trump. So, all right, so he remains neutral, but all GOP events just days after Trump invited Florida Republicans to a dinner at his Florida resort. Yet some state lawmakers are still bitter that DeSantis' campaign were asking lawmakers to fundraise for him ahead of the GOP debate in August, according to a former Republican office holder who spoke with them. Few members of the legislature have a relationship with Ron DeSantis. He's like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. You can't get to him, but you hear him. Brian Griffiths, he is the press secretary for DeSantis' campaign, assert that the Florida legislature and state leaders support the governor, you know, but they're saying otherwise. Many of his constituents down there in Florida are openly defying the governor, and backing Donald Trump. That's what they're saying. So don't look like Ron DeSantis have the stronghold at all on what's going on in Florida. So, what he did was put all these Republicans in place to try to make sure the Democrats down there have little to no influence politically on what's going on in Florida. And they're saying it's all backfiring. But we shall see. I do believe Ron DeSantis will drop out because he just don't have the backing. And since he's been on the campaign trail, you haven't heard about one state, not one state leaning in his own favor. And as you can see, even Florida's not leaning towards Ron DeSantis, they're leaning towards Trump. And since he's been out here going state to state, you haven't heard, anything in the media, online, or even on mainstream news about one particular state is leaning in Ron DeSantis' favor. You haven't heard that at all. Not among any of the candidates, you have not heard him leading. He has never led among the presidential candidates either. So I do believe he will drop out. He's not going to have a choice. He doesn't have the backing And it looked like he's losing that even in Florida. And many down there are saying he don't need to run for president. He needs to attend to what's going on in Florida. Well, he is. He's trying to dismantle everything down there and make everything Republican, and it looks like that's imploding on him right now. But what do y'all think about this video? My prediction, I think Ron DeSantis, if he drops out, it will be long before the presidential election in November. I don't believe he will be there anymore. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.